The email arrives at 6:47 on a Monday morning. I'm halfway through my first coffee, still in pajamas, laptop balanced on my kitchen counter in my tiny Alexandria apartment. The subject line glows like a taunt I've been waiting 7 years to see. Urgent, security clearance verification required, Sentinel Technologies. My hand freezes on the mouse. For a moment, I can't breathe. Sentinel Technologies, the company my father built, the empire my siblings inherited, the family business I was never good enough to be part of. And now they need me. I click it open with shaking fingers. Dear Miss Hayes, Sentinel Technologies has been awarded a $12.3 billion contract with the Department of Defense for advanced satellite encryption systems. Final approval requires Level 4 security clearance with Special Access Program authorization. Our records indicate you are one of 3 officials authorized to grant this clearance. We request expedited review given the contract deadline of September 1st. Please contact our CEO, Victoria Sterling, at your earliest convenience. Respectfully, Gerald Patterson, General Counsel, Sentinel Technologies. Victoria Sterling, my sister, the woman who told me at our father's retirement party that I couldn't hack it in the real world, who announced at Thanksgiving that government jobs were for people who can't handle real pressure, who uninvited me from her wedding because people in our circles don't really understand what you do. And now she needs my signature. I read it 3 times, waiting for satisfaction to hit, the vindication, the sweet taste of having them finally need something only I can provide. Instead, I feel nauseous, because somewhere beneath the anger, there's a tiny voice whispering, "What if you're about to destroy your own family?" My phone buzzes. A text from my brother Daniel. "Charlie, stop being dramatic and call Tori back. This is business. Don't make it personal." Don't make it personal. As if they hadn't made it personal every single time they dismissed my career, every family dinner where they talked around me, every achievement of mine they ignored while celebrating Victoria's quarterly earnings. I pull up my work calendar. Today's schedule stares back. 3 classified briefings, a security audit for a Virginia contractor, and a 4 p.m. meeting with the Joint Chiefs about Chinese cyber threats. Just another day of paper pushing, as my father used to call it. Except my paper pushing involves protecting the nation's most sensitive military technology. My bureaucratic job requires security clearance so high that even the existence of some projects is classified. And now, the family that mocked me for choosing this path needs that clearance to survive. But here's what makes this complicated. Buried in their security file is something they don't know I found, something that could have gotten soldiers killed, a pattern of violations so systematic that approving their clearance would be criminal negligence. I should deny them on merit alone. The problem is, part of me wants to deny them for other reasons too, and I don't know which motive is driving me anymore. My name is Charlotte Hayes. I'm 34 years old. I'm a GS-15 Supervisory Intelligence Specialist with the Department of Defense, which is a fancy way of saying I decide which defense contractors get access to America's military secrets. For 7 years, I've been the family disappointment, the sister who chose a government salary over the family legacy, the daughter who wasn't ambitious enough, the Sterling who became a Hayes because carrying their name hurt too much. But right now, holding an email that could save or destroy a billion-dollar company, I'm the most powerful person in my family. And I have absolutely no idea what to do with that power. I grew up in a house where success was measured in profit margins and market share. The Sterling family built defense contracting into an art form. My grandfather started with a small manufacturing plant in Maryland. My father expanded it into a mid-tier supplier, and Victoria, golden child Victoria, was supposed to take it to the next level. I was supposed to be part of that story. When I was 8, my father took me to the factory floor and pointed to machinery producing components for military aircraft. He said to me, "Someday, Charlie," his hand on my shoulder, "you and your sister will run all of this. Together." I believed him, treasured that moment. By college, the narrative had changed. Victoria was the natural leader, Daniel had the business instincts, and I was good at details, technical stuff, the kind of work that supported the real decision-makers. "You'd be perfect for our compliance department," my father said junior year when I mentioned working for the company. "Every business needs someone good with regulations. Not leadership, not strategy. Compliance. The role for people who couldn't handle the big picture." I graduated top of my class with degrees in cybersecurity and international relations, applied to the DoD's cyber defense program on a whim, mostly because the brochure talked about protecting national security in ways that felt important. I got accepted. When I told my family over Sunday dinner, the table went quiet. My mother set down her fork. "The government, Charlie. Honey, we were hoping you'd join the family business." "I want to try something different. The DoD program is really competitive." "It's also a fraction of what you'd make with us," Victoria pointed out, "and government jobs are so bureaucratic. You'd be miserable." My father cleared his throat. "Charlie, the Sterling name means something in this industry. You'd be walking away from doors that are already open. To push papers for the government?" "It's not paperwork, it's protecting military communications, cyber defense, real security work." Daniel laughed. "Real security work happens in the private sector, where there's actual money and innovation. Government jobs are where careers go to die." I took the DoD position anyway. For 7 years, I climbed the ladder, started as a junior analyst reviewing contractor applications, moved to threat assessment, then encryption protocol development, then supervisory roles, overseeing security clearances for the most sensitive military projects. And for 7 years, my family treated it like a phase. Every Thanksgiving, Victoria would ask when I was done playing government worker and ready to come home to real business. Every Christmas, my father would joke about me pushing papers in the Pentagon while they actually built things. Every gathering, I'd watch them celebrate Victoria's promotions, Daniel's deals, the expanding Sterling empire. And I'd go home to my tiny apartment and wonder why protecting my country wasn't enough to make them see me. 3 years ago, everything shattered. My father's retirement party. 200 guests, open bar, speeches about legacy and vision and the future of Sentinel Technologies. I wore a dress I'd saved 2 months to afford, drove 3 hours from DC, brought a gift, a frame of my father and grandfather at the original factory. Victoria was announced as CEO, Daniel as COO. The crowd applauded. And when my father stood to give his toast, he raised his glass. "To the real Sterlings, the ones who understand what it means to build something meaningful, the ones who chose the hard path of private enterprise over the easy road of government employment." He looked directly at me, and then past me, like I was furniture. "To my children who made me proud, to Victoria and Daniel, the future of this company." The room erupted. I set down my champagne with trembling hands and walked to the bathroom, locked myself in a stall, and threw up so hard I cried. When I composed myself and returned, no one had noticed I'd left. I drove home at 2 a.m., tears streaming, wondering when I'd become invisible to the people who were supposed to love me. The next week, I filed paperwork to legally change my name from Sterling to Hayes. It cost $300 and required a court hearing. The judge asked, why? "Family reasons," I said. She approved it without questions. My mother cried when I told her, "This is so dramatic, Charlie, just because your feelings were hurt." My feelings weren't hurt, I was erased. At my own father's retirement party, I was erased. He didn't mean it that way. Then what way did he mean it? She couldn't answer. I stopped going to family dinners, stopped answering calls unless they were emergencies, built a life in DC that had nothing to do with the sterling name or the constant feeling of not being enough. And I told myself I was fine. But late at night, I'd pull up photos from when we were kids, Victoria teaching me to ride a bike, Daniel helping me with math homework, beach trips where we built sandcastles. We used to be close. We used to be a family. I don't know when that changed, when success became more important than connection. But somewhere along the way, I stopped being Charlotte Sterling, beloved daughter and sister, and became Charlotte Hayes, the family disappointment who chose the wrong path. Now, sitting in my kitchen with their desperate email glowing on my screen, I realize something I should have understood years ago. They never saw me as a person, just as a resource that refused to be useful in the way they wanted. And now that they need me, now that my useless government job holds the key to their survival, I have a choice to make. Do I save them? Or do I let them finally face consequences? I wish I knew the answer. By 9 a.m., my phone has buzzed 17 times. I ignore it through my morning briefing about Russian cyber threats, ignore it through security audit prep, ignore it until my assistant, Marcus, knocks with a concerned expression. "Miss Hayes, you have a lot of people trying to reach you." I look up from the classified report I'm reviewing. Define a lot. Your sister has called 4 times, your brother twice, someone named Gerald Patterson from Sentinel Technologies 3 times, and he hesitates. Your father is in the lobby. My stomach drops. He's here? At the Pentagon? He doesn't have clearance to come up, but he's demanding to see you. Security is getting uncomfortable. I close my eyes. Of course he is. Tell security I'll be down in 5 minutes. After Marcus leaves, I sit staring at the framed photo on my credenza from my commissioning ceremony when I got my first security clearance. Me standing in front of the Pentagon, young and hopeful and so proud. My family didn't come to that ceremony. Victoria had a board meeting. Daniel was closing a deal. My parents said they'd try, but never showed. I celebrated alone that night. Pizza in my studio apartment, cheap wine, telling myself their absence didn't hurt. Now, my father is downstairs, probably wearing his power suit and disappointed father expression, ready to lecture me about family loyalty. I straighten my blazer, the one with the DoD insignia pin, and head to the elevator. He's standing by the security checkpoint, looking older than I remember, grayer somehow, still wearing his Sentinel Technologies polo like armor. "Charlotte?" His voice carries across the lobby. "We need to talk." "It's Miss Hayes." I don't raise my voice, don't need to. The security guards are already watching. He strides toward me, hand outstretched like he's about to touch my shoulder. I step back. "Don't." My voice is quiet but sharp. "Don't do the fatherly concern routine. Not here, not now." His hand drops. "Charlie, you're not returning our calls. This contract is critical." "I'm aware of the contract. I received the clearance application this morning." "Then you know how important this is. The entire company's future depends on this deal." "Yes, I read the materials." He searches my face, looking for the daughter who used to bend to his will. She's not here anymore. "Victoria made a mistake at the retirement party," he says finally. "We all did, but this is bigger than hurt feelings. It's about legacy, about the business your grandfather built. The business you told me I wasn't good enough to run. That's not, we never, at my security clearance ceremony when I finally achieved something you couldn't buy or inherit, where were you?" He blinks. "What?" 7 years ago, when I got my first Level 3 clearance. The ceremony was on a Tuesday at 2 p.m. I sent you the invitation. Where were you? The silence stretches like a chasm. I don't remember, he says finally. Victoria had a board meeting. Daniel was in Boston. You and Mom said you'd try. No one came. Charlotte, we've been busy running a company, and I've been busy protecting national security, but somehow your work always mattered more than mine. His jaw tightens. This is exactly why we needed you in the family business. This holding grudges. Is this a grudge, or is this just the first time my opinion has actually mattered to you? Your opinion has always mattered. Name one time you asked for it, one family dinner where you asked about my work instead of talking around me. He opens his mouth, closes it, opens it again. Nothing comes out. I have a meeting with the Joint Chiefs in 20 minutes. Was there anything else? Charlie, please. His voice cracks. Don't punish the whole family over miscommunications. This contract represents 4 years of development, 500 jobs. Your sister worked incredibly hard. Victoria worked hard. That's what you said at her promotion dinner, at her CEO announcement, at every company event. Victoria worked hard. Daniel is brilliant. And Charlotte, well, at least she has a stable government job. That's not fair. No, it's not. But it's accurate. I turn to walk away. His voice stops me. If you don't approve this clearance, Sentinel Technologies will collapse. Everything your grandfather built, everything I've worked for, everything Victoria and Daniel have sacrificed for, gone. I look back over my shoulder. Then maybe you should have built it on something stronger than cutting corners and ignoring security protocols. His face goes pale. What are you talking about? I'll be conducting a full evaluation of Sentinel Technologies' security practices before making my determination. You'll receive official notification within 48 hours. Charlotte, wait! But I'm already walking away. Back through security, into the elevator, up to the 3rd floor where my real work waits. Where my job, my paper-pushing, bureaucratic, easy government job, involves protecting military secrets from people exactly like my family. People who prioritize profit over protocol, who cut corners when no one's watching, who've spent so long believing they're untouchable that they've forgotten rules apply to everyone, even Sterlings. Especially Sterlings. That night, I can't sleep. I lie in bed staring at my ceiling, cycling through the same questions. Am I doing this out of principle or revenge? Is protecting national security worth destroying my family? Or am I using national security as an excuse to finally hurt them the way they've hurt me? At 2 a.m., I give up and pull out my laptop, start reviewing Sentinel Technologies' security file. It's worse than I remembered. 3 years ago, they rushed a background check on a senior engineer to meet a deadline. Turned out he had undisclosed foreign contacts. By the time DoD caught it, he'd been working on classified materials for 9 months. 2 years ago, they subcontracted part of a radar system to a firm with ties to a Chinese technology company. Sentinel claimed they didn't know. The investigation said they didn't ask. Last year, they had a data breach in R&D. Instead of reporting it immediately as required, they investigated internally for 4 weeks before notifying DoD. Each time, they'd gotten warnings, fines, probationary periods. Each time, they'd promised to do better. And each time, the moment scrutiny faded, they'd gone right back to prioritizing speed and profit over security. I pull up the contract they're bidding on. Advanced Satellite Encryption Systems, Level 4 required, Special Access Program authorization. The kind of technology that, if compromised, could endanger American military personnel around the world. And they want me to trust them with it. My phone buzzes. Victoria. Charlie, Dad said you're doing a full evaluation. This is insane. You know we're qualified. Stop letting personal issues cloud your professional judgment. I stare at the message for a long time. Then I type, my professional judgment is that Sentinel Technologies has a pattern of security violations. I'll make my determination based on evidence, not family politics. Her response is immediate. You're going to destroy us over paperwork issues. Hundreds of people will lose their jobs. Is that what you want? I close my eyes. No, that's not what I want. I want to go back to when we were kids, when Victoria helped me with science projects, when Daniel let me tag along to basketball games, when my parents looked at me like someone worth celebrating. I want a family that sees me, values me, respects me. But that family doesn't exist anymore. Maybe it never did. All I have now is a choice between protecting national security and protecting people who've never protected me. I shut the laptop and walk to my window. DC glows in the distance, monuments lit against the night sky. Somewhere out there, military personnel are relying on technology my office has secured. Communication systems, satellite networks, encryption protocols. Their lives depend on people like me making hard choices, refusing to let politics or profit or personal relationships compromise their safety, even when those personal relationships are the only family I've ever had. I make my decision then, at 2:47 a.m., standing in my dark apartment looking out at a city full of people I'll never meet but have sworn to protect. Tomorrow, I'll conduct the most thorough security evaluation Sentinel Technologies has ever faced. Not because I want revenge, but because this is what the job requires. And for the first time in my life, I'm going to choose the job over making my family comfortable, even if it destroys me in the process. The evaluation is scheduled for Thursday at 10 a.m. I arrive at Sentinel Technologies headquarters at 9:45, carrying a laptop full of documentation that will either save or destroy the company my grandfather built. The building gleams in the Virginia sunlight, glass and steel and corporate confidence. The lobby has a wall dedicated to the Sterling legacy, photos of my grandfather breaking ground, my father shaking hands with Pentagon officials, Victoria accepting industry awards. I'm not in any of the photos, erased from the legacy, but here to determine its future. The irony tastes like copper. Ms. Hayes, the receptionist's voice is carefully neutral. The board is waiting in conference room A. I follow her down hallways I used to run through as a kid, back when this place felt magical. The conference room door opens. Inside, the entire board sits around a massive table. My father at one end, officially retired but clearly still in charge. Victoria at the other, CEO nameplate gleaming. Daniel beside her, and a dozen executives I've known my entire life. They all look at me like I'm holding a gun. Maybe I am. Charlotte, Victoria stands, her smile professionally warm and personally cold. Thank you for coming. We appreciate you taking time to conduct this evaluation personally. Ms. Hayes, I correct gently, and it's my job. The room shifts uncomfortably. I set up my laptop without another word, connect it to their system, pull up the first slide. Sentinel Technologies, Security Violations 2018 to 2025. My father's face goes pale. Before we begin, he starts, but I cut him off. Mr. Sterling, this is an official Department of Defense security evaluation. You'll have the opportunity to respond to each finding, but right now I need you to let me present the evidence. It's the first time in my life I've told my father to be quiet. He sinks back, jaw tight. I click to the next slide. In the past 7 years, Sentinel Technologies has accumulated 3,241 documented security violations. Would you like me to list them chronologically or by severity? "Those records are sealed," Victoria says sharply. "Nothing is sealed from a Level 4 clearance with special access authorization, Ms. Sterling." I meet her eyes. "Including the 4 times you personally overrode security protocols to meet project deadlines." Her face drains of color. I continue through the slides, each one more damning. The background check they rushed, the Chinese subcontractor they didn't vet, the data breach they hid for 4 weeks, and then the things they thought no one knew about. The engineer they hired who failed his polygraph but got approved because he was friends with a board member. The classified documents stored on an unsecured server for 7 months. The security officer they fired after he flagged problems, replacing him with someone more flexible. With each revelation, the room gets quieter. Executives' faces shift from defensive to horrified as they realize how much I know. How much I've always known. "That's not fair," Daniel finally bursts out. "Every defense contractor has violations. It's just how the industry works." "And that," I say quietly, "is exactly why you're not getting this clearance." The room explodes. Victoria slams her hand on the table. My father starts shouting about family loyalty. Daniel pulls out his phone, probably to call a senator. I hold up one hand. The room falls silent, a kind of power they never thought I'd possess. Sentinel Technologies has demonstrated a consistent, systematic pattern of prioritizing profit over security. Your application for Level 4 Special Access Clearance is denied. "You can't do this," Victoria whispers. "The contract deadline is next week. We've invested everything in this bid." "Perhaps you should have invested more in actual security instead of hoping no one would notice your shortcuts." My father stands, face red. "This is because of the retirement party, because your feelings got hurt. This is because you've been cutting corners for 7 years." My voice rises for the first time. "Because every time DOD gave you a warning, you promised to do better and went right back to the same dangerous practices. Because you've spent so long getting away with it that you've forgotten rules are real." "We can fix it," Victoria says desperately. "Give us 30 days. We'll overhaul everything." It would take 6 months to properly address these issues, maybe longer. You don't have that kind of time. "Then extend the deadline," my father demands. "You have that authority." "I do, but I'm not going to use it to save a company that's shown zero respect for national security." The words hang like smoke. Daniel's voice is vicious. "You planned this, all of it. The name change, the distance, everything. You were just waiting for a chance to destroy us." For a moment, I can't breathe. Is he right? Then I think about the military personnel whose lives depend on secure communications, about sailors on submarines relying on encrypted technology, about soldiers trusting their equipment won't be compromised, about my oath to protect them, even from my own family. "No, Daniel, you destroyed yourselves. Every time you ignored a protocol, every time you rushed a process, every time you taught this company that profits matter more than protection." I close my laptop and stand. "You have the right to appeal this decision. Contact information for the review board is in the formal denial letter you'll receive within 48 hours. "Charlotte, please." My mother's voice. I didn't know she was here. She's sitting in the corner, tears streaming. "Please don't do this. This company is our entire lives." I look at her, really look, at the woman who used to read me bedtime stories, who taught me to bake cookies, who I thought would always be on my side. Then maybe you should have treated it, and me, with more care. I walk to the door, turn back one last time. My father looks smaller. Victoria's hands are shaking. Daniel won't meet my eyes. And for the first time in 7 years, I don't feel invisible. I feel powerful and absolutely, completely heartbroken. The company can reapply in 18 months.
I say quietly, after you've implemented proper security infrastructure, after you've proven you can be trusted. Victoria's voice is barely a whisper. We'll be bankrupt by then. Then maybe the next company that buys your assets will have better priorities. I walk out of Sentinel Technologies for the last time, leaving behind the only family I've ever known and the last remnants of the person I used to be. The one who thought love was something you could earn through silence. The one who believed being useful meant being valued.
The one who didn't understand that sometimes the cruelest thing you can do is force people to stand on their own. My hands don't start shaking until I'm in my car. Then it hits. The magnitude, the finality. I just destroyed my family's company, ended their careers, shattered the legacy my grandfather spent his life building. And I did it on purpose. I make it 3 blocks before I have to pull over, grip the steering wheel, try to breathe through the panic rising like a tidal wave. What have I done? 500 employees just lost their livelihoods because I couldn't let go of years of hurt, because I wanted them to finally see me, because My phone rings. Unknown number. I almost don't answer. Miss Hayes? This is Dr. Kimberly Torres from the DoD Cybersecurity Division. I heard about the Sentinel evaluation. I wanted to thank you. I can barely speak. Thank me? 3 years ago, Sentinel supplied encryption components for a communication system my team uses. We've been finding vulnerabilities ever since. Backdoors, weak protocols. We've reported it repeatedly, but they keep promising fixes that never come. My hands tighten on the wheel. 2 months ago, we had a near breach that almost compromised a military operation in the South China Sea. If we hadn't caught it, her voice trails off. People could have died, Miss Hayes, because Sentinel Technologies prioritized their timeline over security. I didn't know, I whisper. Most people don't. That's the problem. They see quarterly reports and stock prices. They don't see the vulnerabilities, the risks, the lives hanging in balance. After we hang up, I sit in my car for a long time. Dr. Torres's words circle my brain. People could have died. Not theoretical people. Real soldiers, real sailors. Real human beings whose families would get folded flags and condolence letters, because my family couldn't be bothered to follow protocols. The panic recedes, slowly, replaced with something steadier. I didn't destroy them out of revenge. I destroyed them because they were dangerous. And if that makes me the villain in their story, so be it. I'd rather be the villain they think I am than the doormat I used to be. I drive back to the Pentagon, back to my office, where classified briefings and security audits and real work waits. Work that matters more than family approval. Work that protects people who will never know my name. My assistant meets me at my door. Miss Hayes, there are approximately 40 messages from various members of the Sterling family. Delete them all. All of them? Every single one. And Marcus, filter their numbers. If they call again, send it straight to voicemail. He nods, understanding in his eyes. Understood. That night, I pour wine and sit on my balcony overlooking the Potomac. My phone buzzes constantly. Texts from cousins I haven't spoken to in years. Voicemails from family friends. A message from my grandmother. How could you do this to your father? I delete them without reading. Instead, I open my laptop and pull up the email I've been drafting for 3 weeks. 2. Department of Defense Ethics Review Board. Subject: Conflict of Interest Disclosure. Sentinel Technologies. I am writing to formally disclose a family connection to Sentinel Technologies, whose security clearance application I evaluated today. I finish the disclosure. Send it. create a paper trail proving I followed every protocol, disclosed every conflict, made my decision based solely on evidence. Because when this goes public, and it will, I need to be bulletproof. Not for me, but for every other person in my position who will have to make the same impossible choice someday. The choice between family and duty, between love and integrity, between being liked and being right. 3 days later, the news breaks. Sentinel Technologies denied critical security clearance, $12.3 billion contract in jeopardy. The article is everywhere. Defense publications, business journals, mainstream news picks it up because of the massive contract value. And buried in paragraph 7, the clearance denial was reportedly issued by Charlotte Hayes, a DoD security official and former member of the Sterling family. My phone explodes with media requests. Reporters camp outside my building. Colleagues look at me with a mixture of respect and pity. The statement from Sentinel Technologies is brutal. We are deeply disappointed by this decision, which appears influenced by personal matters rather than objective security assessment. The Sterling family has served the defense industry for 3 generations, and we will vigorously appeal this politically motivated denial. Politically motivated, as if protecting national security is a political act, as if 7 years of documented violations don't matter compared to family legacy. That night, I get a call from an unknown number. Against better judgment, I answer. Charlotte? My father's voice, rough like he's been crying. The board voted to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. We're done. Silence. Are you happy now? Is this what you wanted? No, I say honestly. I never wanted this. Then why? Why destroy us? We're your family. You stopped being my family the day you decided I didn't matter unless I was useful to you. That's not... We always loved you. You loved a version of me that didn't exist, Dad. The compliant one. The one who'd smile through being dismissed. The one who'd save you no matter how many times you hurt her. His breathing is ragged. Your mother had a panic attack this morning. Victoria's engagement fell apart. Her fiancé didn't want to marry into a bankrupt family. Daniel's being investigated because board members are claiming he knew about violations. Each revelation lands like a punch. I'm sorry, I whisper and mean it, but I can't save you from consequences you created. You're just like your grandfather, he says bitterly. Righteous, inflexible, so convinced you're right that you can't see the damage you're causing. Grandpa built that company with integrity. You destroyed it with shortcuts. Don't compare us. I hang up before he can respond. Then I walk to my bathroom and throw up. Because he's right about one thing. I am causing damage. Real damage to real people I once loved. And I have to live with that. 3 months later, my supervisor calls me into his office on a Tuesday morning. I know something's wrong the moment I see his face. Charlotte, sit down. I sit, heart pounding. You've lost weight, he says bluntly. Colleagues are concerned. Are you okay? I want to lie, say I'm fine. Instead, I hear myself say, I destroyed my family's company 3 months ago. My sister's engagement ended. My father barely gets out of bed. And I did it on purpose. Was it the right decision? Yes, my voice cracks, and I hate myself for it. He slides a business card across the desk. DoD Employee Assistance Program. You can't keep doing this alone, he says gently. You're one of the best analysts we have, but you're barely holding it together. I can see it. After I leave his office, I sit in my car in the parking garage for 20 minutes. Then I call the member. The therapist can see me Thursday at 4 p.m. Therapy session week 4. Do you regret it? Dr. Anderson asks for the 3rd time. I stare at the ceiling, tears streaming. Every day, I wake up at 3 in the morning and think about my mother's panic attack, about Victoria's broken engagement, about 500 people who lost their jobs. But you do it again. Yes, my voice cracks. Why? Because people could have died. I sit up, wiping my face. Because Dr. Torres told me about a near breach that almost compromised a military operation in the South China Sea. Because my family prioritized profit over protecting soldiers. And that makes it worth it? My voice is barely a whisper. I don't know. Ask me in 10 years. Dr. Anderson makes a note. You've lost 14 pounds in 3 months. You're not sleeping. Your work performance, while still excellent, shows signs of stress. Charlotte, you're allowed to grieve what you lost. I don't know how, I admit, because part of me feels guilty for grieving people who hurt me for years, like I'm being weak. Grief isn't weakness, it's human. You can mourn the family you wish you had, while still knowing you made the right choice. Can I? The question comes out broken. Because right now it just feels like I'm dying slowly. Then let yourself die slowly, she says gently. Let yourself fall apart. That's how you eventually put yourself back together. 6 weeks later, the investigation. The letter arrives on a Monday. Department of Defense Inspector General. Official investigation. My hands shake so badly I can barely open it. An anonymous complaint has been filed alleging improper conduct in your evaluation of Sentinel technologies, specifically that you inflated the severity of certain violations to justify denial. My stomach drops. The investigation takes 6 weeks. They review every document, every email, every note I made during the evaluation. I can't eat, can't sleep. My weight drops to levels that make my doctor concerned. Because what if they're right? What if I exaggerated because I was angry? The investigator calls me in on a Friday afternoon. His face is unreadable. Miss Hayes, we've completed your review. I can barely breathe. We found that your overall assessment was sound and justified. The pattern of violations documented is accurate and sufficient grounds for denial. Relief floods through me. However, my heart stops. We did find 2 violations you classified as critical that should have been classified as significant. The technical difference is minor, but your characterization was aggressive. The denial would have been justified even without those classifications. But Miss Hayes, in the future, be more precise. When family is involved, you need to be beyond reproach. After he leaves, I sit in my office and stare at my hands. I told myself this was about protecting national security, but part of it, a small, vindictive part, had been about making sure they couldn't fight back, about making the case so ironclad they'd have no defense. I wasn't the hero I'd wanted to be, just a human making an impossibly complicated choice. And now I have to live with the gray. 9 months post-denial, congressional hearing. Ms. Hayes, isn't it true that your family connection to Sentinel Technologies created a conflict of interest? I sit before the Senate Armed Services Committee, every word on the record, cameras broadcasting to C-SPAN. I disclosed the conflict in writing before beginning my evaluation, Senator. The Ethics Review Board approved my involvement. But you had personal animosity toward the company. I had personal history, which I disclosed. My evaluation was based solely on documented security violations spanning 7 years. Senator Morrison leans forward. And it's just coincidence that your decision bankrupted a family that, by your own admission, had hurt you. The room goes quiet. I take a breath. Senator, if I'd wanted revenge, I would have approved the clearance and watched them fail when they couldn't meet security requirements. The cruelest thing I could do was set them up to expose military personnel to risk. Instead, I did my job. which was protecting American service members from contractors with proven patterns of negligence, even when those contractors were your family? Especially then. The hearing clears me of no wrongdoing, but 3 weeks later, my supervisor calls me into his office again. The promotion to senior executive service, it's been withdrawn. My stomach drops. Why? The optics. The committee cleared you, but there's concern about public perception, about whether putting you in a higher profile role sends the wrong message. So I did the right thing, and I'm being punished for it? You're not being punished, but you're also not being rewarded. Sometimes that's how it works. After I leave, I sit in my car and let myself cry. Integrity has a price, and I'm paying it. Thanksgiving, 11 months post-denial. The first Thanksgiving alone in 34 years. I order Chinese food and sit on my couch watching football I don't care about. My phone is full of photos from family group chats I've been removed from, cousins posting about dinner, my mother's famous stuffing, Victoria's empty chair at the table where her fiancé used to sit. I turn off my phone and cry until I can't breathe. This is the price of integrity, this loneliness, this ache that won't fade, and I chose it on purpose. Dr. Anderson's words echo, "Let yourself fall apart. That's how you eventually put yourself back together." But what if I can't put myself back together? What if this is just who I am now? Alone, technically right, morally gray, professionally stalled, the woman who chose duty over family and lost them both in the process. 14 months post-denial. The hospital. My mother calls at 11 p.m. on a Wednesday. "Charlotte," her voice is shaking. "Your father had a heart attack. He's stable, but, sweetheart, he's asking for you." I drive to Virginia through the night, hands trembling on the wheel. At the hospital, my family sits in the waiting room. Victoria, Daniel, cousins I haven't seen in over a year. They stare at me like a ghost. "He's asking for all of us," my mother says quietly, "including you." In the hospital room, my father looks small, fragile. The machines beep steadily. He opens his eyes, sees me, and starts crying. "I'm sorry," he whispers, "for all of it. I'm so sorry, Charlie." I take his hand and feel 14 months of anger crack just slightly. Not forgiveness, not yet, but the first painful step toward it. "I'm here, Dad. I'm here," I whisper back. "I'm here." 18 months post-denial, the visit. I'm in my office reviewing a security application when Marcus knocks. "Ms. Hayes, there's someone here to see you. She doesn't have an appointment, but she says it's important." "Who?" "Victoria Sterling." My heart stops. "She's in the lobby?" "Yes, ma'am. Should I tell her you're unavailable?" I should say yes, maintain the boundaries I worked so hard to establish. Instead, "Give me 5 minutes, then send her up." Those 5 minutes feel like hours. When Marcus appears with Victoria, I barely recognize her. Thinner, no designer suit, hair in a simple ponytail. She looks smaller, older, defeated. "Charlotte," her voice cracks, "thank you for seeing me." "It's Ms. Hayes, and you have 10 minutes. She sits across from my desk, hands folded like a child waiting for judgment. "I'm not here to beg for the clearance. Sentinel was sold to Northrop Grumman last month. I'm unemployed, actually." I don't respond. "I'm here because I've been in therapy, trying to understand what happened, and my therapist asked me to do something I should have done years ago." She pulls a folded paper from her purse, sets it on my desk with shaking hands. "It's a list. Every time I remember dismissing you, belittling you, treating your work like it didn't matter, every family dinner, every comment, every moment I chose to see you as less than." I don't pick up the paper. There are 52 items on that list, 52 times I can specifically remember hurting you, and those are just the ones I remember. tears stream down her face. No dramatic sobs, just quiet, devastating grief. You were right. About all of it. We took you for granted. We used you. We erased you from a legacy you helped build. And when you finally stood up for yourself, we called you vindictive. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve to hear it. Because I was wrong. And because... She takes a shuddering breath. Because losing everything made me realize the only thing that actually mattered was the sister I never properly valued. I stare at her for a long moment. I appreciate you coming here. I do. But, Victoria, this doesn't fix anything. I know. You can't apologize your way back into my life after years of making me feel invisible. I know. And I can't, I won't compromise my professional integrity to help you rebuild. I'm not asking you to. She wipes her eyes. I'm asking if maybe, someday, after I've proven I've actually changed, we could try to be sisters again. Not business partners, not family legacy, just sisters. The word hits harder than expected. Sisters. I think about Victoria teaching me to ride a bike, about braiding each other's hair before school, about the version of us that existed before success and ambition and sentinel technologies came between us. I don't know, I say honestly. I don't know if we can go back to that. Not back, she says quietly. Forward to something new, something that doesn't require you to make yourself smaller so I can feel bigger. She stands to leave, stops at the door. For what it's worth, Charlie, Ms. Hayes, I'm proud of you, for your career, for your integrity, for having the strength I never did to choose what was right over what was comfortable. Victoria, she turns back. The company bankruptcy, was it because of my denial, or were there other problems? She laughs bitterly. There were other problems, big ones. We'd been propping up failing divisions with money from successful ones, taking on debt we couldn't service. Your denial just exposed what was already rotting underneath.
So it would have collapsed anyway? Probably, just slower, with more people getting hurt. She meets my eyes. You didn't destroy us, Charlotte. You just refused to keep us from destroying ourselves. After she leaves, I pick up the list. 52 moments of erasure. 52 paper cuts that added up to a wound I carried for years. Reading them hurts, seeing it all documented, but buried under the hurt is something unexpected. Relief. Because I'm not crazy, wasn't oversensitive, didn't imagine the dismissal. It was real, and now someone finally admits it. I fold the list carefully, put it in my desk drawer. Not forgiveness, not yet, but maybe eventually acknowledgement could be a place to start. 2 years post-denial. I'm in my office reviewing a security application when my phone rings, a number I haven't seen in months. Victoria. I let it ring 3 times before answering. Charlotte Hayes? Hi. Her voice is nervous. I know I said I wouldn't call unless it was important. This might not qualify, but I got a job. Compliance officer at Lockheed Martin. Entry level. Total career reset. Despite myself, I smile. That's great, Tori. It's terrifying. I'm 43 and starting over, but my boss mentioned you during the interview. Apparently, your reputation in the industry is significant. They vetted you properly? So thoroughly, I thought they were going to request my kindergarten records. She laughs softly. Turns out, proper security protocols are actually kind of reassuring. Who knew? We talk for a few minutes about her job, about her therapy, about the slow process of rebuilding. We don't talk about the family, don't discuss Sentinel or the bankruptcy or the years of pain. Those conversations will come, maybe, someday. For now, this is enough. 2 sisters finding their way back to each other, not through shared business or family obligation, but through honesty, accountability, the hard work of becoming people who can actually see each other. When we hang up, I sit at my desk for a long time. Outside my window, the Pentagon hums with activity, people protecting secrets, making hard choices, doing work that matters, even when no one thanks them for it. Work I'm proud of, work that defines me more than any family name ever could. My phone buzzes, a text from Victoria. "Thank you for answering. It means more than you know." I type back, "One step at a time." 2 years, 3 months post-denial. The coffee shop. We meet at a neutral cafe in Arlington on a Saturday morning. Victoria is already there when I arrive, hands wrapped around a mug, looking nervous. I slide into the booth across from her, order coffee I'm not sure I can drink. For a moment, neither of us speaks. "Thank you for coming," she says finally. "I wasn't sure you would." I almost didn't. "What changed? Your mind?" I think about that, about the therapy sessions where I've been working through grief and anger and complicated love, and Dr. Anderson's words, "You can mourn what was while building what could be." I'm tired of being angry, I say honestly. It's exhausting, and it's not who I want to be. I'm tired of being the person who made you that way. We sit in silence for a while, not uncomfortable, just two people learning how to be in the same space again. Daniel reached out last week. He's working for a manufacturing company in Ohio, starting over too. He wanted me to tell you he's sorry for his part in everything. Is he actually sorry, or is he sorry things fell apart? I think both. Does that count? I don't know yet. She nods, accepting this. Mom and Dad are selling the house, moving to a smaller place. Dad's doing cardiac rehab. Mom's seeing a therapist too. We're all kind of rebuilding. And you? I ask. How are you, really? Some days I'm okay. Some days I wake up and can't believe I lost everything because I was too arrogant to follow basic safety protocols. She looks at me. But I'm learning. That's something. Learning what? That being important isn't the same as being good. That legacy means nothing if you built it on shortcuts and arrogance. That my little sister was braver than I ever was. The words hit somewhere deep. I wasn't brave. I was heartbroken and angry, and I made a choice that destroyed everything. You made a choice that exposed what was already broken. There's a difference. We talk for 2 hours about her new job, about my stalled promotion, about the years we lost, and whether we can find our way back. It's not reconciliation, not yet, but it's conversation, real conversation. And for the first time in years, when I look at my sister, I don't just see the person who hurt me. I see the person she's trying to become. 2 years, 6 months post-denial. The choice. Marcus knocks on my office door on a Tuesday afternoon. "Ms. Hayes, there's a security clearance application that just came through. You're listed as the reviewing officer." He hands me the file. I open it, and my breath catches. Sentinel Technologies Successor Entity Application. Submitted by Northrop Grumman Defense Systems. The company that bought Sentinel's assets is applying for the same clearance my family's company was denied, and I'm the one who has to review it. I spend 3 days going through every document, every security protocol, every background check. This time, there are no shortcuts, no rushed processes, no violations. Northrop Grumman implemented everything properly, fixed every flaw, built security infrastructure that actually works. The clearance should be approved, but approving it means the technology my family developed, the work they poured years into, will go forward without them. They'll get none of the credit, none of the profit, none of the legacy. Someone else will reap what they sowed. I could deny it, find some technicality, some minor flaw to justify rejection. No one would question me, not after how thoroughly I documented Sentinel's failures. I sit in my office late one night, the application open on my screen, and call Dr. Anderson.
I have a choice to make, and I don't know if I'm making it for the right reasons. What are your options? Approve a clearance that will benefit the company that destroyed my family's legacy, or deny it and potentially compromise national security because I'm still angry. What does your professional judgment say? Approve it. Everything is in order. The security infrastructure is sound. And what does your heart say? That I want them to feel what I felt. I want them to watch something they built succeed without them. I want them to know what it's like to be erased. Are those mutually exclusive? I sit with that question for a long time. No, I say finally. I can approve it because it's right, and because it hurts them. Both can be true. Can you live with that? I have to, because the alternative is letting my anger compromise the job I swore to do. The next morning, I sign the approval. Then I text Victoria. The Northrop Grumman clearance was approved. Your technology is going forward, just not under your name. Her response comes an hour later. Good. That's what should happen. The work was sound. We just weren't worthy of it. But thank you for answering, for not making me find out from the news. I stare at her message for a long time. Then I type, coffee next Saturday? I'd like that. 3 years post-denial, the dinner. My mother hosts a small dinner at the new house. Just immediate family, no company talk, no business discussions. An attempt at being a family again. I almost don't go. Park outside for 15 minutes, hands on the steering wheel, debating whether I can do this. Then I see Victoria through the window helping Mom set the table. Daniel arrives with his girlfriend, Dad slowly making his way from the kitchen. They look smaller, older, less intimidating than the giants of my childhood. Just people. Flawed, complicated people who hurt me and are trying, however imperfectly, to do better. I get out of the car. When I walk in, the room goes quiet. Charlie, my mother's voice breaks. You came. I came. Dinner is awkward at first. Stilted conversation, careful topic choices, everyone walking on eggshells around the elephant in the room. Then Daniel says something about his new job in Ohio, how different it is from Sentinel, how humbling it is to start over at 41. At least you're starting over with a clean slate, Victoria says. I have to explain the bankruptcy in every interview. You could lie, Daniel points out, and fail another background check. Charlie would find out and I'd be unemployed again in a week. They both look at me. For a moment, I tense, waiting for resentment, for blame. Instead, Victoria laughs, which is exactly as it should be. Turns out consequences are real. Who knew? And somehow, impossibly, we're all laughing. Not because it's funny, because it's true. Because we've all been broken by this, and we're all trying to figure out how to build something new from the pieces. After dinner, my father asks if I'll walk with him in the garden. We walk in silence for a while, him moving slowly, still recovering, me matching his pace. I'm proud of you, he says finally, for your work, for your integrity, for being strong enough to do what was right, even when it cost you everything. I stop walking. You're proud of me for destroying your company? I'm proud of you for being the person I should have raised you to be, the person your grandfather would have been proud of. He turns to face me. We failed you, Charlotte, for years, and when you finally stood up for yourself, we tried to make you the villain. You weren't entirely wrong, I admit. Part of me wanted to hurt you. Dr. Anderson says I can acknowledge that without it invalidating the rest. Your therapist sounds wise. She is. Are you seeing someone? Twice a week, working through a lot of things, including how I measured my worth entirely by business success and taught my children to do the same. We walk a bit more. I don't know if we can ever be what we were, I say quietly, before Sentinel, before everything fell apart. I don't think we can, he agrees, but maybe we can be something better, something more honest. That would require all of us being honest about who we are, including the ugly parts. Then let's start there. He stops walking. I'm Thomas Sterling. I'm 68 years old. I built a company on cutting corners and arrogance. I valued profit over people, including my own daughter. I had a heart attack that made me realize none of it mattered compared to the family I'd alienated. And I'm terrified I've lost you forever. The vulnerability in his voice cracks something in my chest. I'm Charlotte Hayes. I'm 35 years old. I destroyed my family's company partly because it was the right thing to do, and partly because I wanted revenge. I've spent 3 years in therapy trying to untangle which motive was driving me, and I'm terrified that even if we rebuild this family, I'll never be able to trust you again. He nods slowly. That's fair. That's more than fair. But I'm willing to try, if you are. I am. We walk back to the house together, father and daughter, not healed, not whole, but taking the first painful steps towards something that might, someday, resemble forgiveness. 4 years post-denial. I'm at my desk reviewing a classified briefing when Marcus brings in my afternoon coffee. Big news, he says, grinning. You made the list. What list? Senior Executive Service promotions. Congratulations, Miss Hayes. The Senate confirmed you this morning. I stare at him. What? The promotion you were passed over for 3 years ago. They're offering it again. New administration, new priorities. Your work on the Chinese cyber threat assessment apparently impressed some important people. After he leaves, I sit in my office holding the promotion letter and cry. Not from joy, from relief. Because integrity did have a price, and I paid it. But I survived. My phone buzzes. Victoria. Just saw the news about your promotion, Charlie. I'm so proud of you. Then Daniel. Senior Executive Service? That's huge. Congrats, sis. Then my mother. Your father and I are taking you to dinner to celebrate. No arguments. I look at the messages for a long time. 4 years ago, I made a choice that destroyed everything, ended my family's company, shattered relationships, sent me spiraling into therapy and grief and months of questioning whether I'd made a catastrophic mistake. But I also made a choice that protected soldiers I'll never meet, that enforced standards that keep military technology secure, that proved integrity matters more than comfort. And slowly, painfully, impossibly, I'm building something new. A family based on honesty instead of legacy. A career based on principle instead of approval. A life where I don't have to make myself smaller to make others comfortable. The following Saturday, I meet Victoria for our monthly coffee. She's waiting at our usual table, reading something on her phone. Hey, I say, sliding into the booth. She looks up and smiles. The real smile. The kind she used to give me when we were kids. Hey yourself, Senior Executive Hayes. That has a nice ring to it. It's terrifying. I start the new role in 3 weeks. You'll be amazing. You always are. We order coffee, talk about her job, my new responsibilities, Daniel's upcoming wedding in Ohio. Normal sibling conversation, nothing profound. But somewhere in the middle of discussing whether we should drive together to Daniel's wedding, she reaches across the table and takes my hand. Thank you, she says quietly. For what? For not giving up on us, for being willing to try again even after everything. I squeeze her hand. Thank you for doing the work to become someone worth trying for. Was I really that bad? Yes, and I was really that hurt, and we're both different people now. Better people? I think about that, about the person I was 4 years ago, invisible, desperate for approval, willing to shrink myself to fit, about the person I am now, scarred, complicated,
learning to stand in my own power without apology. Different, I say finally. Whether that's better depends on the day. She laughs. Fair enough. That night, I sit on my balcony overlooking the Potomac, glass of wine in hand, and think about the last 4 years. The choice I made, the price I paid, the family I lost, and the family I'm slowly rebuilding. I think about Dr. Anderson asking in that first session, "Do you regret it?" And I finally have an answer. No. Not because it didn't cost me everything. It did. Not because it wasn't brutal. It was. But because I learned something I needed to know, that my worth isn't measured by what I give away, that integrity matters more than belonging, that sometimes the people who love you need to lose you to learn how to value you, and that choosing myself, my principles, my oath, my job, over making my family comfortable wasn't selfish. It was the first truly honest thing I'd ever done. My phone buzzes. A text from my father. "Dinner next Sunday? Your mother wants to make your favorite meal." I smile and type back, "I'll be there." Then I set down my phone and look out at the city glowing in the darkness. Somewhere out there, military personnel are relying on systems my office has secured, technology protected by protocols I enforced, security maintained because people like me said no when it would have been easier to say yes. They'll never know my name, never know the cost of keeping them safe. But I know. And finally, after 4 years of grief and therapy and painful growth, that's enough. I'm Charlotte Hayes. I'm a senior executive with the Department of Defense. I destroyed my family's company to protect national security. I lost everything and slowly rebuilt something better. I'm not a hero, not a villain, just a woman who made an impossible choice and learned to live with the consequences. And I'd do it again. Not because it was easy, because it was right. And because some things, integrity, security, self-respect, are worth more than comfort, even when that comfort is called family. Especially then.
So here's my question for you. Have you ever had to choose between your peace and someone else's comfort? Drop your story in the comments. You're not alone. If this resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe to Revenge Retaliate for more real stories about betrayal, boundaries, and what happens when quiet people finally stop being quiet. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes one story is all it takes to realize you're not the villain for walking away. Hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. And remember, the strongest thing you can say isn't "I forgive you." Sometimes it's just, "I'm done." See you in the next story.